Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Welcome. I am great. Welcome to the dog days of summer. I can't believe we're almost at the end.
Stay hydrated, my friends.
Yes.
I'm sipping water right now with a little bit of lemon in it.
You
So,
don't you don't want to know what I was having. I was having a big hot black coffee.
ooh,
I finished it.
oh my goodness. Was it a straight up
Straight up.
full full tilt?
Full,
Oh
full,
boy.
full, full, which I'm not used to as
Mhm.
often. It makes me crazy. I have
Yeah.
been enjoying, and this is interesting because the topic today. I've been
Yes.
enjoying mushroom tea. I've told you this.
Yes. Yes.
I
Yes. I'm
like it.
eager. I'm eager to get back to tea drinking as we tilt towards fall. I gotta say, I haven't been keeping up with doing iced tea. I have to do my own, as you know, because I have to make it decaf, right? So
Right.
I'm not the lucky one that gets to run through like the drive through of your local establishment, either Dunkin' or wherever you like to go and order the iced tea because all of it has caffeine in it. So I have to make it here, and I must admit I haven't been doing a good job of keeping up with that. So haven't been doing my
Yeah.
sun tea or any of that. So it's just like I don't know. It's been busy, man. It's been what do you want from me?
I
You
know.
know.
It's been a very, very eventful summer so
It
far.
has been. It has been. It really, really has been. It's a lot's going on. So, but this is a topic that we could talk about for hours and hours. So
Favorite topic.
I definitely want to get right straight into it because it's just like, oh my gosh. But so we should probably take a look at the card that you're going to pull for
Okay.
this coming month and see what we're having here in this first harvest of ours.
All right.
What's
Well, it's
going
the
on?
handsome fellow. It is the Knight of Wands. Now this
Ooh,
this
okay.
knight he demands action for you to move quickly, to not delay with any kind of decisions you're making. Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
I like he's on his horse. He's ready to go, and he's got his wand in his hand, ready to rock our world here. It's for this is a call out to all of us who are seeking inspiration right now, and to discover your purpose. This night is about change, and he's willing to put in the work, but he's got to be careful. He's got to be cautious on certain landscape, and he needs to listen to trusty advisors along his way. He's
Mm,
adventurous. He loves, those summer vacations and getting going as we approach the end of the season. He's exciting. He's fearless, and he is brave. I look at him as our little protector. He's our warrior, and he is very sexy too. That's that summer sexy time energy. When you get him in a reading, it might not be forever, but it'll be worth whatever you have. Um, but on the downside, we have to watch our tempers during this hot weather, and we have to be careful not to get too swept off of our feet on different kind of emotions. We do, even though we're wild, when we're out there and we are just free and we're running and we're creating, we do have to take a minute to watch how our actions affect others. I love the wands. I love fire. But as a water sign, I have to be really careful because I'm prone to getting burnt or having that fiery engine kind of push me out of the way or burn me up. But there's nothing better when you stick water and you stick fire together. You get some steam there and it makes stuff go. So this is a time to be rebellious, not to keep your mouth quiet. I know my Libra's over there going, she won't keep her mouth quiet. If there's something wrong, we're going to speak out now. We're going to be fearless, confident, and brave. We're going to really be pulling in that wonderful energy that gets the day going. And also from now until we hit September, I want this wonderful, brave spirit to follow us as we prepare for October.
I think he's lighting a fire under your butt.
Yep.
So that in one way, I look at this like he's got a match lit. That wand is like a match, like lit under your butt, or like a torch. In another way, I'm looking at this. Perhaps that's a pencil.
Could it be?
Could it be?
Could it be? Could it be?
Yeah, I'm thinking, that is that's the sign to get up and go do. So
let's look at fire as that first element that starts the alchemy within ourselves, that transformation. So yeah, let's write it down. Let's get projects moving along, and let's bravely walk right through it.
I love it. So, and I'm going to actually talk about stones as we get into the herbs, because I'm going to talk about, I'm going to talk about kind of how those two marry together, and the different ways that they overlap each other and how they work together. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So, he kind of looks like he's holding up a twig, with like leaves on it. So it's like, that's kind of good, because it's sort of saying like, ta-da, herbalism. So I'm loving it.
Yes.
I'm loving it. I made a little note for myself of all the different ways that I've used herbs and plants. And because I didn't want to forget anything. I wanted to touch on, all of it. And I'm amazed at all the different ways that maybe we don't really think about it, that plants and herbs are in our daily lives. Like whether or not we do what you're doing and actually study herbalism, like whether or not we even go that far, our daily lives, a lot of times medicines that people take are derived from herbs. There's, things that we eat, things we take into our body every day. You and I talked about this a bit in Reading the Leaves when we talked about, and we offered people recipes that are specifically geared toward magic and the idea of making magic through food that we actually eat. And of course, the tea leaf readings, if you're drinking tea, that's what that is. That's a plant in water making that happen. And so that's actually divination with plant life, right? Dried plants, but still dried herbs or dried plant matter, that's what that all is.
Yes, it absolutely is. And when we look at herbs and the gifts that this planet has given us, we can sustain ourselves medically. I started to study herbalism to search beyond magical means to see how I could heal myself. I was thrilled to find out I have recipes to create your own personal bug spray, deodorant, not just the medicine. It's how we clean our lives in a healthier way without chemicals, giving our livers a break. It's great. She feeds us always.
Now, I use herbal bug sprays. So
absolutely, I do as well.
What's your recipe?
Well, I always start with like a witch hazel base. I like doing that. Some other people use different types of water and alcohol. I prefer witch hazel. And these are the choices. These are the best ones: lemon, eucalyptus, lavender, or sometimes I add all three. And I work with essential oils. Okay. Yeah. And I put it in a glass spray bottle. I shake it up. And I have to tell you, when I was enjoying your patio over the summer, I put it on my ankles and my legs. So nobody smells like, I don't come in looking like an advertisement for off bug spray. I just simply smelled like Leanne with lavender and eucalyptus and lemon on me. These are things that bugs hate. They will avoid at all costs. So it's completely natural. And other animals like your cat or your dog, if they lick you, they're not going to get sick. This isn't poisoning other things you love.
Yeah.
What's so great about lavender, lavender is also an antiseptic. So it is going to heal any previous bug bites, shaving nicks and things like that. So you're healing and protecting.
I have a lavender one that's made on Cape Cod
That's
that was gifted to me. I have a lavender natural bug spray. I love that so much more. Nothing's worse than going to the fireworks and like dousing yourself in bug spray because you have to when you're at the fireworks around here. And then it's like you want to come home and have to take a full-on shower because if you've sprayed, because I get eaten alive if I don't use a bug spray. They love my blood. They love it. And so I'm delicious to them. I'm magically delicious. So like I have to douse myself and it's gross. Like it's just disgusting. You just feel all chemically. And this awesome lavender bug spray, I don't feel that way at all. It's as if I just put on, some essential
oils, right?
Yeah,
and
let's smell nice,
And lavender's benefits magically on your body as a protector, as something that draws in calm and peace. That's amazing in itself.
Oh, yes, it is.
When I was little, my grandmother used to make her own bug spray, and it was white vinegar and garlic oil, or garlic. She would mix it all together and rub it on herself. And I think I've told you all this story.
Kept the vampires away too.
Everything stays away. Everything stays away when you rub down
garlic. Is a protector. I'm putting I have fresh garlic in the fridge right now because, as you know, today I'm going to start the batch of the Gallows Hill tomato sauce. So the tomatoes are grown right here, right out my front door by my neighbor. And he leaves me a giant bag on my door handle of the first pick, because this week is the first time that they yielded actual, ready to use tomatoes. So I've got all the fixins that I need for my sauce, and I'm going to get it going. As soon as we're off here, I'm going to get it going. But I've been thinking, the garlic in it is very protective. It's like when you put basil, what does that do? When you put, all these different things that we can put into the food that we eat, that we need to, think about, like, what are the benefits? Of course, nutritionally, you're going to have benefits, but also because I'm not buying like some jar full of chemicals that somebody else has made. I'm actually making it myself. So it doesn't have all that sodium and all the, just the junk that it winds up getting when you're buying something commercial.
Absolutely.
And think about, take a look over the course of the next few days. Just be mindful about the different herbs that are contained in the dishes that you're eating, whether you're cooking at home, going to a restaurant, whatever it is. Think about that. Think about the herbs that are in the food that you cook, and think about what that's doing for you from a magical standpoint. Look up the associations, that are associated, because we have to be mindful about what we're putting in our bodies. The more mindful we are about that, and we get higher nutrition. So we get, we benefit doubly, because like I was thinking about locally grown herbs, plants, vegetables, things you can grow in your own garden. What do you feel like planting in your own garden? Obviously we're in the first harvest at this point. So in this part of the country, we're not really thinking about planting right now. We're thinking about harvesting. So we can't plant right now. We can blue sky for next spring and think about what we want to plant. But we can go to our local farmers market here in Salem. It's every Thursday. Head down to the local farmers market, see what the first harvest has brought in. You're going to find amazing vegetables and things, and and cook with those, or cook with something your neighbor planted, cook local honey infused with herbs, honey infused with lavender, honey infused with, and you can figure out how to do an infusion yourself. If you get local honey and it's not infused and you want to infuse it, look it up. Somebody's got a YouTube video on how to do it. I guarantee it. So look it up and figure out how to infuse the honey. Infuse your olive oil. In your olive oil.
I do that all the time.
All the time, right? Infuse your olive oil with the herbs, make sure and I guess the caveat for this entire episode is know what you're allergic to, do an allergy test before you're ingesting things that, just be careful. If it's something you've eaten already, probably going to be fine. If not, do a little allergy test, make sure it's safe for you. We're not recommending any specific herbs for people, obviously be careful, right? If you're putting it on your body, do a little skin test to make sure it's not an irritant for you. This is how I found out that I can't do those mentholated things. I can't do eucalyptus. I can't do peppermint or anything from that mint family. I get a rash. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to put that on my skin. But you just test on like the back of your hand or something. Test to make sure that it's gonna work out for you. Take a look at what's planted around your property, where you live. What are the flowers and plants that are right around your property? Take a look at the trees that are planted around your property and look up what metaphysical properties those trees are known to have. You might have something very protective planted right outside your door. You might have something, that's good, that's associated with love or associated with success or associated with healing. You might have something already right around your property where you can gather up those twigs, gather up those fallen leaves, and use that in a magical sense. You could create a wreath. There's a lot of things you could do to use right around the plants, the flora that's available to you that's right in your own backyard. Take a look at what's planted and figure out, especially if you have legacy plants like I do. I have some plants on this property that have been here since before I was born. And so looking that up and being able to investigate, like, okay, what's here? What is it associated with magically? What could I use it for magically? Or what is just its very presence of being here? What is that used for magically? So there's another way that, the plants are, oh, we lost Leanne. I'm sure she'll come right back. But that's another way that we can, use the plants that are right around us. So take a look at the plants around your property, including, the trees. Look up their metaphysical properties online. And indoors, take a look at the plants that you might have indoors. Maybe you've got, a plant that somebody gave you. I love to stick a crystal or stick a stone with a word on it in a plant. And as that plant grows, so does that intention. So sometimes, especially with vines, and I do a lot of plants here that have vines, or like a spider plant that shoots off babies. I love to do intentions with those plants because it shows me that it's growing. And Leanne's been in my kitchen. She knows. It shows me that that's what's growing. And so whether that's a little stone that says health or a little stone that says wealth or success or whatever it is, put that with a crystal, in the plant and watch it grow. So, and be careful if you put anything that's like an actual crystal near a window. I don't recommend having a lot of that show. Push it down further. You don't want to have the sunbeam come through it and it throws a hot beam and like starts a fire. So just be careful. Tumbled stones, rounded stones, things that are not like an actual crystal, like a quartz crystal, that those types of things, not so good in the window. Those can be in other parts of the house, right?
That's right. Light stuff on fire. Yay.
You have some tea. You have a couple tea recipes.
I have tea recipes, but I really want to talk about fire cider.
Oh yes.
Important that is for us going into the winter, preparing our body. This amazing mixture that honestly has somewhat changed my life. And it has kind of like replaced coffee. Okay. It is known to be, this maybe is not 100% backed by science, but it has been reported to be anti-inflammatory. So if you have joint issues, if your legs or your ankles swell or wrists or any part of your body, but it is definitely antiviral. So if you have kind of infections, the beginning of a sore throat, it helps me. It could help you too. It's been a great decongestion to me, and it helps my any kind of circulatory problems you have. It really overall is great, okay? And it's good for your gut. It's great for your gut. And you know about that spicy food. It boosts your metabolism. So it aids in weight loss in any kind of digestion. My recipe comes from, it initially was given to me by the person training me in Herbalism, which is Terry Colgren at Artemisia Botanicals. Great class. Her Greenwich school is amazing. And I've got this recipe that she obtained from Rosemary Gladstar, and now I have it. So much like an Italian sauce, you can add stuff to it. You can subtract stuff to it. But the base of this amazing recipe is apple cider vinegar.
Now, does she recommend apple cider vinegar in the mother?
In the mother. Get the mother, okay? And people, if you're with somebody, a wonderful person who doesn't know what the mother is, please tell them or they'll throw it out. All I'm going to say is I bought big thing of apple cider vinegar, and somebody went, "Oh, what's this gross thing at the bottom? It's trash," and threw it out.
Oh, no.
They didn't know where it was, bought another bottle. Then he said to me, "Listen, you keep on buying this apple cider vinegar, and there's this gross stuff at the bottom." I threw out the last one. This time I strained out the mother. So now it's completely useless. Leave the mother in there. It doesn't look pretty, but it's delicious, and it is good for you. I take a shot of this every day.
Oh, God.
I take a shot of it every day.
It gets tablespoon in the morning, right? Yeah, one tablespoon every morning.
Yeah, and I'm going to be making it. You'll be getting some. I'll be making it because I think it's amazing.
Oh, my God. Yes, because I almost just bought some.
No, I'm just going to make it.
Have yours.
Yes.
I would rather have yours.
Because spicy is not always your favorite thing. I'll leave out the jalapenos because that's
yeah, no.
No jalapenos for you, my dear.
Let me guess. Garlic is in there.
Garlic, yep.
Is onion in there?
Onion is in there.
And turmeric.
Turmeric, I put extra. Just
black pepper.
Because this is how my recipe comes. I put in black pepper because black pepper activates the turmeric. So we put in the whole peppercorns in there.
That's why I'm asking. Because I'm like, am I going to have to add black pepper, or is there black pepper?
We add a hell of a lot of honey in there because let alone honey can heal you. It's antibacterial. It's amazing.
It'll help it taste a little bit less like
you want it to taste good, right? Lemons, the zest of lemons.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We added beets.
Okay.
We added beets because beets are great for your heart. And they're great for your any kind of arteries or things you're having, cardiovascular issues.
Okay.
Beets are really going to help. So we added raw beets, and we added lemons. Sometimes you can add limes. What is it that you like? Rosemary. Rosemary is great. Think about it even as a healing food, rosemary is amazing, but rosemary magically connecting to the goddess Rhiannon is powerful. It's got a powerful zap. It's it'll help you with your intuition. So that's the magical side of it. But on the other side of it, it will heal any kind of wounds. It's an antiseptic. I've seen recipes that include lavender. That's up to you.
Is there thyme in yours?
There is time in mine. There is time. There's time
it's on
in
your
mine.
side.
It's on my side. But
Yes,
so is oregano. And
Okay.
I use oregano oil. I dilute it. You can't just throw oil in your mouth. They used to do that, but you got to dilute it. You have to think that little tiny bit of any kind of oil that is derived from, it's like compacted. It's so much. It's almost too much for your body. So these things should be diluted and used with care. But I use fresh oregano in there, and I'm just stuffing it in there because that's also antibacterial.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're sick and you take a shot of that and it's going down your throat, it's gonna kick everything. But you don't even just have to take a shot of it. Okay, you can add it to your salad dressings. You can cook with it with rice. You can use it with your food. I make a delicious salad dressing. People don't even realize they're having that much healthy stuff inside of them. But when you're making this, you're going to put it all into one big mason jar and cover it with a wax paper because you're going to keep it in there for weeks and weeks. And after a period of time, I think we had it stored for about 1 month in a cool, dark place. And then you can go ahead and give it to friends and family and other people. Like it can be a gift. We've given it as gifts. We keep it for ourselves. We love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Steam
and
it.
There was some big corporation out there that was trying to take the name.
Yeah, they were.
And that's just a folk name that's been around for so long. And they were trying to like copyright it. And they were trying to make it so nobody could actually give other people fire cider and call it fire cider. And it's like, this has been done for like hundreds of years. Like, what are you guys talking about? You can't copyright it. People have been giving this to each other. It's just crazy what corporations try and do. It's like, this has been going, that's like somebody saying that they're gonna copyright, I don't know, like banana bread. You can't copyright banana bread. Like people have been making banana bread for forever. Like, what are you going to call it then? Like
these assholes they're trying to make something. They're trying to make money off of every way humanly possible. It's ridiculous.
And stop other people, which is it's terrible. So so that's pretty much the fire cider recipe. Yes?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And if you want any kind of further information, if you want like really like measurements and stuff, go ahead. You can Google it. Rosemary Gladstar has it. There are several books that have it. You can look it up online. It's everywhere.
I think that you should do a TikTok on it.
I will. At some point, I will. Maybe even like more of a reel or a YouTube, because I'm trying to get our YouTube channel going too. Because there's a lot there you can do with it. This is what I find so amazing about the whole process. So after you're done straining all that stuff, because you strain it in cheesecloth.
Yes.
You can take that leftover stuff and it becomes fertilizer. You can use it as compost. It's fantastic. There's the cheese. She has it. It's amazing.
So,
and you can do stuff. People have eaten it, made slaw out of the leftover stuff. It's nuts.
This is a segue into one of the things I want to talk about, which is how to infuse magical oils. So we're going to take that same kind of mason jar that Leanne's talking about to make the fire cider. When I'm making magical oils, I use a smaller mason jar because I'm not typically making the ginormous one. If you want to make the ginormous one, make a ginormous one. I'm usually making smaller smaller. So I get a mason jar. Let's say you had a fragrance oil that you liked, but you needed to infuse it with the actual, like, let's say you don't have an essential oil, but you do have herbs of that. Let's say you look in the cabinet, you don't have lavender essential oil, and you want to use that for magic. You want to anoint things with it. You want to anoint candles with it. Maybe you want to wear it. You want to do some magical work with it, but you have some dried lavender. So you would take let's say maybe you have a fragrance oil, but it's just a fragrance oil. It doesn't really have any lavender in it. So you would use that, or I like a jojoba oil. This happens to be an organic jojoba oil. So it's a carrier oil. And you can combine them. You could use the jojoba oil with the fragrance oil and put the dried lavender in here. And you're going to let that sit. So you might start that on the new moon and let it sit up to the full and then pull it. And then you're going to strain it with the cheesecloth. Now, depending on what herbs you're working with and how chunky you want your oil to be, this is very fine mesh, this one. This is going to strain out most things. I've got other cheesecloth from the grocery store that's not very fine mesh. It's a looser mesh. And so it might let some stuff through. So you just have to decide, how much stuff do I actually want my oil to have floating around in it, right? But so you strain it through this, and then not only do you have your oil now that you want to use magically, but you also have like a little poultice. Like you have an oily chunk of like lavender stuff.
I love
and you
that.
might want to turn that into a sachet. So when you dry it, like let it dry out. So it's not quite so sticky and oily, and then put it in fabric. You could do a fabric square and tie it with a ribbon. You could put it in a mojo bag. Just be careful if it's still got a lot of the oil to you don't want that in your clothes. It might stain your clothes. So just be careful. But once you dry those herbs out, those chunky herbs, that's some good shit. So you can use that for other things too, So it's like you get 2 for 1. You kind of get superpower herbs and you get an infused oil that you can use to anoint things, yourself if it's safe. If you're using a safe herb, anoint your magical tools, anoint, spell scrolls, candles. Another thing we do with those dried herbs is we roll candles in them, or we put them in candles that we pour if we pour our own candles. The recipe for pouring your own candles is at the back of Lighting the Wick. So if you buy the book, Lighting the Wick by me and Leanne, you'll have the recipe for making your own candles. You can put the herbs in there. Just be careful, because if you get them near the wick, they could catch on fire while you're burning them. And never leave burning candles unattended. I feel the same way about rolling. I've seen a lot of people doing the rolling the herbs and the candles, and that's great. But you've got to not leave those candles unattended, because if those herbs catch fire, then the flame is bigger than you expect and things can happen. So just be super careful. As always, we always recommend just be careful when you're doing this stuff. The other thing I wanted to mention, we were talking about tea that you drink. And I know you've got some great recipes for tea, and we've got great recipes for tea in the books. You can get your own tea bags and make your own tea bags, guys. You can buy tea bags, a package of tea filters, and make your own. And if you get the iced tea ones of this, guess what they're good for? Taking an herbal bath. Because you don't want to just throw a ton of herbs in your bathtub and have to clean that up later, right?
Right.
But you want to take an herbal bath, get the mega size of the tea bags that does the iced tea, because it's like 3 times the size of these, and put your herbal blend in there. Again, testing everything to make sure you're not allergic or going to have a reaction. And throw that in the tub, throw the tea bag in the tub, and let that infuse in the tub, and once that's out, there's a magical poultice, because you know what I mean? Because you got all the herbs in the bag. So that's another way that you can use herbs for magical intentions. You can take a bath for love. You can take a bath for money. You can take a bath for success. You can take a calming, soothing, bath. You can take a healing bath. No limit to what you can do in that tub with those herbs, and so some of these herbs that you're working with candles, where you're rolling the candle in the herbs to use for a spell, take those same herbs from that dish that you just rolled the candle in, all those leftover herbs, pop them in that tea bag, pop it in that tub, and steep in it yourself, right? And then also take other herbs of that same blend, pop them in a tea bag and drink it. So you're not only taking the herb into the body, you're soaking in it, you're burning the candle. You can put those same herbs in a mojo bag and put them in a little bag that you can tuck in your bra, tuck in your purse, put in your pocket. It comes with you. It goes with you at night. Tuck it under your pillow, sleep on it. Maybe you dream about the answer, or you dream information that you need to get to that goal. Always, we can take herbs through it's amazing because they can come through every type of magic that we're doing when we have an intention. I mean, I'm sure you've seen this, right? Where you're drinking
you're drinking, doing everything with it. Perfect example is, let's say you are looking to help your AD, memory, anything with concentration, right? So you're going to work with the planet Mercury, right? So you're gonna leave Mercury. Let's say we're just going to simply leave Mercury and offer with a mercurial tea or herb. So what you're going to do is you're going to leave lavender, okay? Because lavender has some aspect to it that is Mercury. It has the moon, but it also has Mercury in it as well. You're going to leave that, but then when you're done with that, you can also drink it, because medically it calms you down. It helps that ADD mania kind of go away. The same with peppermint tea. You look at the planetary aspects are going to work with it magically. It'll be an offering, and it also can be something you can consume that actually helps your body.
And Mercury is very challenging. It's retrograde right now, and this has been a very challenging one for a lot of people. So this is good advice. So we can take a lavender bath. We can have lavender tea. We could make lavender cookies. I believe that recipe is in Reading the Leaves.
Absolutely.
We can make a lavender bug spray. We can have a lavender sachet in our drawer so that our clothing is infused with the lavender. You can layer this. You can make the oil. And I have them in the other room. I didn't even bring them in this room. The roller balls with the gems.
Those are amazing.
For ADD, if it's for ADD, get the fluorite one from Gallows Hill Witchery. Get the fluorite roller ball. Put your lavender oil in the roller ball, either lavender oil you make or lavender oil you buy. Put it in the roller ball. It's full of fluorite gems. So the fluorite is infusing the oil. The roller ball itself is a ball. It's a little sphere of fluorite. So when you're rolling it on your skin, you're actually rolling not only the oil with the lavender, but also the fluorite. That is a match made in heaven for somebody that has ADD, ADHD. Anybody that needs to focus, even if you don't have those conditions, if you just need help with focusing, that is a match made in heaven right there. That is absolutely going to
And
quiet
just
the static of the mind and get you to the point where you can focus.
and listen, this if you have some severe issues, we're not saying don't go to the doctors, don't get yourself
No,
checked out.
God, no.
Oh,
We never say this.
I want to I want to make a big statement because I don't think that you need help. You need therapy. You need a doctor. You need aid. So these things have worked for me. My chamomile tea has helped me. It has helped me not just. It has helped. I've taken chamomile, I've infused it in oil, and I've made it into a hand salve so that calms any hand irritation. When I consume it, it internally helps me. But that's not without me going, hey, am I allergic? Is there anything else I need that the medical community can help me with? But
Right?
the whole purpose of what I'm doing when I'm taking classes with Terry or I'm taking classes with Rosemary is trying to learn how to heal my body myself and to get off of meds.
Okay, couple things I want to mention real quick. Dried herbs that you use for your spells, check them for efficacy. Make sure when you purchase them, you write the date that you purchased them. I'm guilty of it too. I can keep herbs for a really long time and use them sparingly and have extra left over. And then I look at that and I'm like, is that going to still really be potent? If it looks gray, if it looks like it's old, if it looks like the color has gone out of it, God forbid it looks moldy or dusty or whatever, these aren't very expensive. Go to Pentagram. There's an entire gorgeous wall of herbs. Get some replacements. Add that to your Sabbath fire. Add those beautiful magical herbs to your Sabbath fire, and as long as they're safe to inhale, and get rid of those gray old herbs, and get some fresh ones because you really want the potency for your spell work, and especially if it's anything you're ingesting, make sure that wherever you're purchasing, it's that they are food safe, they're food grade. The ones you get at the grocery store, those are obviously food grade, right? But if you walk into a magical shop, make sure to ask if it's food grade or just used for spells. You can burn herbs on charcoal. You can toss them in your Sabbath fire. That's one of the ways that you can use them is to burn them. Incense, a lot of resins and incense are made with plant matter, plant resin, sap, and etc. from certain trees and things. And even the stick incense and everything, a lot of times that has plant matter and stuff in it. So that's another way that we use herbs for magic, and we make offerings. Incense is a wonderful offering to make to deity, to build those relationships with deity. Hang herbs in your home. We've all seen that witch's cottage kind of vibe where we've got the drying herbs hanging in the kitchen. Hang herbs in your home. Just having them in your space brings that energy into the space. Having them in a specific room. Decide what vibes you're looking to bring into the bedroom, what vibes you're looking to bring into your workspace. Even as people are walking through the door, hang herbs on the back of the door, because maybe you're looking to say, hey, keep your negativity out. Come in here with an open mind and a warm heart, and don't bring leave your troubles at the door. Come in here and relax. So there's herbs that can be hung on the back of the door for that. And there are herbs that are associated with specific Sabbats, as well as woods that are associated with specific Sabbats. So look that up as well, and be able to get some use out of herbs and things that you have when you're going to these celebrations. Bring them as an offering to the temple that you're visiting. Bring them some of the herbs that are associated. If you're invited to a Sabbat, bring some herbs that are associated with that Sabbat as part of the offering to the temple. You can sprinkle them in a scroll or petition that you're using when you're doing written spell work. If you're using any kind of a scroll or things that you're leaving either at a statue or you're burying it somewhere, or something, you can sprinkle some herbs in there to add that potency to that petition. You can get paper that's got seeds in it, okay? Seeds that'll grow certain herbs and plants. And you can write your spell on that and plant the paper, and herbs will grow. Then you can trim those herbs, dry them, and use them. I mean, like when I tell you, this is a rabbit hole we could go down and talk about this for hours and hours. There are so many ways to bring herbs and herbalism into your magic and just into your life in general. And it's already there. You're already doing half of this. And maybe sometimes you don't even realize it. That tree that you always want to park your car under because it just feels better and safer under that tree. You know, there's a reason. Look up what that tree is and find out. You know, there's all kinds of things that you're passing by every day and you're probably not paying attention to what's planted around you in your neighbors' gardens and what you're walking by when you're walking into your workplace and everything, and just find out more about that nature. You can even you can buy a packet of seeds, charge them up for a specific purpose and plant them, and then watch as that intention grows. Yeah, there's so many things. And let me tell you something else I want to talk about. I know you've heard me talk 1,000 times about my Kambaba jasper, because this helps my plants. This helps all my plants grow. So you've heard me talk about the Kambaba a bunch of times. I mean, yes, but also there are stones that have plants in them. There are stones that are made of plants. So like you take like a moss agate, and this is a super crystallized one. This is like a very special one to me, but you take moss agate, that's actual plant matter that you're looking at. Another really popular stone, garden quartz, that's actual living matter that's been trapped in lodolite or garden quartz. And you can see it. I mean, how about amber? How about amber? We've got flora and sometimes fauna trapped in this tree sap. This is tree sap that is so old that it's become like a stone. And how about another favorite? Petrified wood. This is wood that is so old, it is a stone. It has become a rock. So like plant matter crosses over into the crystal world. And those are just some of my absolute favorites that are good for, you know, so many different things. And we talk about a lot of those in the book, Awakening the Crystals. And so if you're interested in where plants and crystals cross over, definitely get a hold of Awakening the Crystals. So
are we going to have the pleasure of Tim today?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. We are going to have the pleasure of Tim today. Yes, we definitely need to know this Mercury retrograde
going on.
It's one of the toughest ones. It's one of the most challenging ones I've seen in recent times. So I definitely want to hear from Tim.
Hey there, how's it going? Loving the subjects and herbalism, getting back to Mother Earth. Right now we need a lot of grounding and hugging trees and touching grass. There is like a lot of crazy planetary energies in the sky. Some people have said this is like a war month, I guess you could call it. But oh, excuse me. Sorry, I'm messing up my computer here. See, already Mercury retrograde. But I mean, the good thing about Mercury retrogrades is just being able to go over things we might have missed and just trying to remember the rewords throughout this time. You know, anything, including rest, rejuvenation, you know, finding that time for yourself, relax, you know, go slower. Mars with Jupiter right now is really pushing people to take risks, maybe unnecessary risks, or even say things that they're going to regret later. Isn't there some celebrities right now that are being sued for what they have said about the Olympics? You know, Mercury retrograde, in my opinion. But that is Jupiter, Mars, and Gemini is pushing people to just want to express themselves verbally. And then Mercury retrograde is not really the best time to do that. But you know, I love the subject and wanted to kind of just add to what you were talking about. You know, one of the things I do astrologically is I use the moon a lot when it comes to planting, when it comes to watering. You're supposed to water your plants when the moon is in a water sign or an earth sign, and then not water when it's in an air or fire. And fire is great for weeding or, debugging, because it's about death and rebirth. And air is about letting the plants breathe. So following the cycles of the moon are great. Obviously, we know about moon water. My mom, when I was younger, used to make tea in this really big glass jar and put it in the sun. And I thought that was really cool. But as an astrologer, as I get older, I'm like, oh, that's really awesome, because I used to love to make all kinds of teas with sun water, right? Sun charged water. But yeah, all the things you talked about, you reminded me of even like I wanted to make some aloe soap with the aloe I've got outside my front door. Because I don't like the soaps nowadays out there with all the chemicals and stuff. And aloe is great for your skin and even for your hair. My soaps are probably like 50% aloe, so they're not like the hardest. They're a little wobbly sometimes.
Yep.
But great about using that. And yeah, astrologically, we are coming up on the full moon on the 19th. So we're already close to being within those full moon energies. And this full moon is square Uranus. But there's another really huge influence that's happening, and this is kind of a very long-term influence, and it's Jupiter square Saturn. The two biggest titans in the sky are literally squaring off, and this only happens, every about 7-8 years approximately. But last time it happened was at the end of 2015, leading into 2016.
Oh no!
First time when Trump got elected. But when we look at the Jupiter square Saturn, Jupiter, Gemini, Saturn, and Pisces, I love to look at just history and just patterns just to see. Last time was 1965, the summer of 1965. That year Malcolm X was assassinated. Lots of civil rights stuff going on. Martin Luther King led a huge march, which led to that summer the Voting Rights Act, civil rights being established 1965. So lots of human rights stuff happening, civil rights stuff happening. And then for inventions, 1965 was the Gemini mission. And again, Jupiter was in Gemini, the first man in space. So definitely lots of Gemini themed kind of inventions. I think 1965 was when some will say is the first time the internet was created, because it was the first time they had two computers communicate with each other with a type of science. I think it was called like packet technology. I'm so sorry, I don't even know the exact term, but it's 1965. Internet was basically, and it was two computers, Gemini again, right?
Right.
1905 leading into 1906. This is ironic, but Fred Trump, Donald Trump's dad, was born. But that was the other Jupiter Saturn square. So 1906, again, there was a lot of wars. Mexican-American War was started. Texas had just been annexed as a state. California declared independence from Mexico. So there definitely was that kind of war energy, kind of race type of stuff happening. I'm so sorry. This is going back to 1846.
Wow.
I'm looking at my notes wrong. Sorry, Mercury retrograde. 1846.
Yeah, I'm like, that can't have happened in 19. I'm like, I'm sitting here going, I wish Kevin was here because he knows these dates better than me. But I was like, that can't be right.
Historians are punching the computer right now. June 14th.
Mercury retrograde.
I know. Right as Leanne pops off the screen. June 14th, 1846 was all of those things I just mentioned. The Oregon Treaty will establish the border with Canada. The inventions, the pneumatic tire, transportation, saxophone, and the sewing machine are two inventions that have manual dexterity, and Gemini rules the hands. So I thought that was interesting. So it seems almost like when Jupiter and Gemini, it's like we're going to see a lot of Gemini themed inventions, anything related. So 1905, 1906, that was when Fred Trump was born. That was the great earthquake of San Francisco. And the huge one that, of course, burned San Francisco down, but it was 8 point or close to an 8.0. I think it was 7.9. But yeah, so those elements of that Uranus.
We're having a lot of things breaking.
Yeah.
Right now.
And
that rim, some people called it the toilet bowl, you know what
Saturn,
I mean?
Yeah, Saturn and Pisces structured over water. Yeah.
Over the water.
So weird.
And
that broke at my house today.
Yeah, there was
I'm not even kidding.
the wall of a pyramid collapse because of
I'm
water.
talking about a huge one that people were
I had
jumping.
a little one just
jumping
happened to
into the
me
water.
today. I just had to call my plumber. That's why I was.
Oh my God.
So yeah, so people have talked about, we've already had a big earthquake, a 7.1 in Japan, and then there was like the 4.4 in LA. But honestly, the patterns in the astrology are saying something record breaking. So not just a 4.0 or a 5.0, like, and it was on the West Coast. 1965 had a huge earthquake on the West Coast, Puget Sound, 6.7. But yeah, so these are just patterns that are, I look at, a lot of astrologers have been talking about earthquakes, but I feel like there's still a bigger one coming. It could be very close to this full moon. In the 1906 earthquake, Mercury was in retrograde and a big square to Uranus. And also that's the internet and all those complications, a blackout we had at the beginning of Mercury retrograde. Has to do with Uranus making a square. Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. It looks like a little satellite dish, right? So it sends even broader messages to the universe than Mercury, which is the messenger god. I'm sorry.
When it comes to our interpersonal relationships right now, what advice do you have so that we don't wring each other's necks?
There's a lot happening. I mean, we just had a Mars-Jupiter conjunction yesterday. That only happens once every 2 years. There's a lot of things that are just happening this week. And so, with Mercury retrograde, think before you speak as best as you can. But write those ideas down because, there is that Gemini energy. So I'm writing down idea after idea after idea so I can come back to that later. Write down those ideas. Revisit those, replan, try to tidy up and finish up all those loose ends, right? When it comes to relationships, though, we do have that square Uranus. It is a very tense energy, rebellious energy, people just wanting to fight just for the sake of fighting kind of energy. And then, as we're approaching the full moon, Venus will be making a T-square to Saturn. It'll be opposite Saturn, making that square to Mars and leading into that Mars square Venus. So yeah, especially women and men relationships might see some major challenges around the full moon, after the full moon, leading into the 22nd. But this is with that Venus, opposite Saturn. It's like a very serious time for relationships. Like you're literally looking at who to let go and who is staying. Like and these are going to be like permanent things. Relationships, it's really coming to a head. Like if there are challenges, these challenges are testing the strength. It's Saturn involved, right? Saturn in Pisces, opposite Venus in Virgo. Venus is in the fall in Virgo. And Saturn, is trying to teach us about the structures, right? Boundaries are a huge lesson right now. I've already had boundaries cross myself when it comes to certain things. So wherever you have Pisces in your chart, could be where people are crossing boundaries.
I have Venus in Virgo in my chart.
And so this is going to definitely affect you personally. Venus is coming up on your Venus return, but Saturn opposing it is definitely bringing a seriousness to your relationship. Specifically, you're feeling it more, Sandra, but all relationships in general, because Venus rules relationships, right? But Saturn is, bringing that seriousness. It's like time to cut out the BS, time to cut out those people that are fake, right? This is part of that square with the Gemini energy. Gemini is all like fun and happy-go-lucky and whatever, and then Saturn's like, stop being immature, stop being a child, and that's part of that big square energy right now with them too. But so this upcoming full moon, lots of things. It's very much like breakup energy, letting someone go for a while, like doesn't mean they'll never come back into your life. But if it's someone like that happens, someone leaves your life, it could be just give it time, give it space. But Mercury does go direct on the 28th. I definitely feel by the end of this retrograde, we will be much different than from the time we entered it. I even see, probably some major things happening with the presidency and even, Kamala. And she's got when the eclipse happens next month, it's going to be in her 10th house. So there's going to be definitely some major thing happening to her, rise up the ladder, moving up. And I do foresee she'll be a president, maybe not in the way people expect, but but yeah, lots of crazy things happening this upcoming full moon transit, Venus T-square, rebellious energy. So there is a lot of hot air too. I said something about that yesterday. People just inflated egos, causing people to say a lot of things that don't really account to anything. So yesterday was a greater time, and we're still in that Jupiter Mars energy to focus on your dreams, put your ideas, start, bring back Mercury retrograde, a dream from the past. I reinitiated a project yesterday. I worked on all day yesterday. I'm working on today. I'm really excited about, because I have not made this much progress on this project in a long time. But that's how you can also make the most of this energy, bringing back the dreams from the past, trying to run with it.
Well, Sandra and I definitely working on that.
Mm-hmm. I gotta say, like, astrologically, I just feel like there's definitely there are big things that we're up against, but at the same time, we just need to understand how to work with those major energies. Like, I'm hearing there's tons of squares going on. I'm hearing there's, and of course we're in Mercury retrograde, and I'm looking forward to this full moon. I've got things planned for this weekend for this full moon, but we've got to figure out how to make this work for us instead of against us. You know what I mean? So any advice on how to get all this into a positive mode is always, I'm always eager to hear, how we channel this into something that will actually work for us rather than against us. And like in true Mercury retrograde fashion, Tim just disappeared.
Yes. There we go. This is
in true Mercury retrograde fashion.
I'm sorry. Earlier I was having a coughing fit out of nowhere. I was just felt a tickle in my throat. But yeah.
So appealing to the planets and asking those planets to to work with us on our goals, and taking a look at what they're up against. What are those planets doing in relation to each other, and how can we kind of give that same kind of alignment? How are we going to align with those planets in such a way that's going to be beneficial to us and to our goals, rather than we're not going to sit here and go, oh, there's a square, so I'm just not, I'm going to back away slowly and not, and hope, oh my God, like hope this passes by quickly. It's like, but I actually want to get creative and see if there's a way to actually have that energy work for me rather than against me. So that's part of the job of figuring out how to appeal to those planets using, any magical means necessary, the planetary, the planetary sigils and things. And then the seals are often where we want to kind of rein that influence in our lives. So we want to kind of put a stop, and there's a way to do that as well. We can work with the squares to ask that planet for assistance on something. And then we may work with a seal to be able to say, okay, planet, okay, Mercury, ease up on me, please. And we put the seal, and that, and that helps kind of filter that planet's influence in such a way that we're not feeling the way that I've been feeling. Even in the shadow of this Mercury retrograde, I felt like, wow, there's a lot of challenges happening here. And there are some themes from the past being revisited. There's that re-word. There are some things popping up that, that we may have thought we had put to bed or, left in the past, and then they burp back up again. Like that little, almost like you almost feel like you might throw up. Do you ever have one of those burps?
Oh, yes, yeah. I have.
Yeah. When those show up in your life. So working with the planets to kind of squash that energy is always a good thing. So, and we talked about some of the herbal ways that we can do that. So, looking up those mercurial herbs, making a mix of that, rolling the candle in that, get the seal of the planet, slide that under the candle, light the candle, say, okay, ease up. Okay. Ease up on that influence.
I have
right. So you're like, okay,
Oops.
ease up on that. Here he is.
Right.
There he is.
Wouldn't you know my power went out? That is so funny. And my internet completely went out. I was like, oh my goodness. I guess that's all I was meant to say.
Well, I was talking about how we can, even those challenging energies with the planets, how we can try to get them to work for us rather than against us. And and if that's not working, how we can filter that planet's energy out by using the planetary seal. So we can work with the planet using the sigils, using the squares, planetary squares, and then we can try to say, whoa, Nelly, using the seal. And we were talking about, rolling the candle in the herbs for the planet, lighting that candle, sliding the seal under the, under the holder.
You can draw it too.
Yeah.
The 7 points, representing the 7 planets. What is that called, Leanne? The 7, when you do the 7 points, it's
the septagram.
The septagram, yes.
Sacred septagram.
I mean, it's harder to carve it in the candle. I guess you could do that too, but just drawing that on a paper with the planetary hour, pointing to the planetary day at the top, and then start there, from Mars to Jupiter or Mars to the sun, whatever,
that's how you get the hours. But can I give everyone
There's an app for that.
There's an app for that.
Hold on. I don't calculate that anymore.
Oh,
I have a planetary app on my phone that tells me the planetary hours.
It's called Planetary Hours. And right now we are in the hour of Saturn. Okay. And there we are. Here we go. All right. And we can plan ahead. It has a schedule. Sometimes I know if I feel like I'm in a bad mood.
Look at what time it is right now.
Oh,
11:11. I just saw that too.
1:11.
And in my time zone, it's 11:11, and it's a
Are
Mercury
you serious?
hour. Yeah, it's 11:11 in the Mountain Standard Time, and it's the Mercury hour where I'm at.
Oh, I love it.
That's why you got to have an app for these things. Because
Saturn. Oh, that's what Saturn.
But yes, so that's awesome. Yeah, I love the planetary hours. I also love the moon.
Yay.
I love that.
Awesome.
That's another good one.
All the apps, guys, all the apps. This is Time Nomad. Look at that. I don't even know what the hell that means.
So one thing I would mention though about astrology, and I love to mention this to others real quickly, is just that in learning to work about these transits, is just also paying attention to what's happening. Like if that we got a full moon and it's square at Uranus, and this is going to present a very rebellious energy. Don't internalize it. Don't think it's something that's wrong with you. Like, oh, I must be having a very bad day because of this. No, sometimes it's good to know about astrology because it is an external energy. And that way we can just be aware that, okay, this is something that is going to pass. This is not something internally. Yes, it's a tense energy. I feel tense because it's a tense energy, not because I'm tense myself, so looking at it that way can also help a little bit.
It's important if you're going to have a difficult conversation with somebody to take these planetary hours really serious.
It's a lot like the weather.
Yeah.
It's a lot like the weather.
Very much. Yeah.
You can dress appropriately for the weather. You're not going to necessarily bring the weather into your own house.
Yeah, it's very much as above, so below. It's a mirror of what's happening. And as I'm learning more about astrometeorology, which is actually predicting the weather, this full moon on the West Coast, not on the East Coast. The East Coast, you guys, is landing right in Pisces by Saturn and Neptune. So that's supposed to be a lot of rain for you guys next week. But on the West Coast, Pluto is right on that IC point, which is like supposed to be a very, very something big happening on the West Coast, rain, water, that sort of thing. But it is very much a mirror of what's happening above is what's happening below.
Yeah.
But the more we know about the weather, the better we can dress for it, prepare for it, even use it to our advantage, collecting rainwater, just like we can collect those energies, the celestial energies, and use them for our benefit. So awareness, knowledge, all that, knowing what's going on is the first step, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that we need to harness that rebellious energy for. Yeah. There are a lot of things that we need to stand up and say, no.
Absolutely.
And in the immortal words of the prophet, D. Snyder, we're not going to take it. No, we ain't going to take it. We're not going to take it anymore.
Exactly. Yep. This and with the rebellious energy, it's always Uranus is always about the progress of humanity. So it's not just rebelling to rebel, but it is for the greater good, and it is to lift up humanity and human rights. So human rights, civil rights I predict will be very important starting this period, because this Jupiter square Saturn is gonna last for us until next year, a little bit. So this is a long-term transit, but thank you guys. It was a great show. I love sharing it. It's funny, the Mercury retrograde mishaps, but we made it through, and we will make it through this one as well.
Yes, we will.
Always. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, guys.
TimSoaringWolf.com, guys. If you want to get a reading with Tim Soaring Wolf, head over to TimSoaringWolf.com and take a look at your transits. Take a look at, get your chart. You can do compatibility report. Yeah, great. It will explain so many things. So, definitely hit up Tim. He's got some good stuff. So I had somebody gave birth recently, and I had him do the baby's chart, and I gave that as a gift to the mom and dad.
That's great.
Yeah, because I just think that's a pretty cool gift.
Yeah, it is.
And it's something that they can save and tuck away. And then when that child is old enough and they feel that child can understand that information, they can give the child that chart. They can give the document to that child. So, my mom got my chart done for me when I turned 18. It was one of the gifts she gave me when I turned 18. And that was back in the day when people weren't pulling it up on the computer. It's literally, my chart is hand drawn with all the symbols done by hand, and the whole report is written out by hand by the astrologer.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's quite a gift. I have hers. I have my mom's as well.
Beautiful.
I have hers because she saved her own as well. And so I have my mom's handwritten chart too. So very special. Nobody does that anymore. Very special. But yeah, so love that. And you're doing tea leaf readings over at Zodiac.
Yes,
so if people are interested, if you've never had your tea leaves done, you gotta do it. You gotta do it. It's an extremely intimate kind of reading because you're actually ingesting the tea. So you actually take, and water is so associated with intuition. It's the perfect way to deliver psychic information. So you're opening yourself up to that reading by drinking that tea, and of course, Leanne, who better than to sit.
We're taking a moment for all of us. And in October at Zodiac, I'll be teaching how to. I'll be doing I've been doing these small little workshops that people have.
Me too.
You know what I mean? 6 people. Yeah.
Yep. I've got a ton of them planned as well for October. So yeah, that was great. They were amazing last year. I had so much fun. I love being able to talk to people one-on-one in the classroom. So I'll be doing them at Gallows Hill Witchery. So yeah, I usually do them on Sundays. So watch the calendar. on the Instagram, the Psychic Tea Instagram. And of course, we'll be talking about it here on the program, but definitely. Yeah. I love to teach. I have tons of fun. Every class is different. It's so like, it's amazing. We have a blast. We have such a good time.
Great.
So love it. And of course, Spirit Beacon a month from today.
Yes, I'll be there. I'm excited for Spirit
How is that even possible? It's a month away.
And then it is, well, we'll be talking to you before then.
Yes. Yeah. Because we'll do September. We'll, hopefully we'll do the early, because I'm on vacation the second week or whatever. I'm on vacation. So we'll do the first week.
Try to make this all work. Excellent.
Indeed. Wow. Indeed. All right. Well,
great.
I think we threw out tons of information.
Yes.
And there's so much more. I hope you pick up some books. Pentagram has quite the selection. And of course, our books have herbal information in them. Reading the Leaves, Lighting the Wick, in even Awakening the Crystals, because we always talk about how these things interact and how these things are all kind of used together. So get a hold of our books.
Very empowering.
Yes. Get a hold of our books. All right.
Before we go, do you have a favorite herbal book?
Mastering Herbalism.
Yeah, I was going to say that too.
I would probably say, if it's straight up herbal book, Mastering Herbalism.
And Amy Blackthorne has a gorgeous herbalism book out there as well, where she combines recipes and spells. Love it. Love you, Amy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, right. And Poisoner's Apothecary.
Oh, Kobe Michaels.
Poisoner.
It is the Poison Apothecary. It is amazing. He has a new book coming out that is going to be amazing. We love them.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
Love you,
lots of love. All right. Thank you. Get ready for the harvest. All right. Give me this one. I can't do it.